everybody. Welcome to the TechRaptor Podcast. I'm Robert Scarpanito, your features editor.
Andrew Rotten, editor-in-chief.
Rutledge Doggett, site founder.
Andrew Stretch, the fantasy editor.
Do you climb towers in your free time?
I do. Yeah, it's base climbing and fantasy novels. It's just all the rage.
Yeah, and there's a lot of base climbing in Florida, right?
What's
yeah.
Famous.
Famous
Florida,
for its
man, base climbs.
famous for its molehills.
What are you fantasizing about if you're a fantasy editor? What is your fantasy?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Tell us all your deepest, darkest fantasies.
Yeah.
For I don't know, Rut to stop embezzling. That'd be kind of nice.
That is a dark fantasy.
That would be, the pipe dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
This is where we have the disclaimer running along the bottom. This is a joke.
This is a joke. This is a joke.
I wish I could win the lottery too. But
I do pay myself, but it's only because I have to pay taxes.
That sounds like something an embezzler would
this
say.
is constantly the justification I hear also whenever I bring it up to him.
Let me hold up my bills from the IRS. Hey, we need more money.
Maybe you need more money, is what it sounds like.
No, I don't.
This week, we're going to talk about Tower of Fantasy, also Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and also kind of have a little chat about the state of cloud gaming, because there's just been a lot of cloud gaming news out there in the ether or in the cloud. That probably would have been the better thing to say. But first, let's get into some news. We're going to kick off with a wild one, because Square Enix continues to just baffle, period. So when Square Enix sold off, what was it, Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal, right? This happened weeks ago. They sold off to Embracer Group, and there's been different stories about why they were selling it off. I think, wasn't it last week or the week before, ex-Eidos CEO said that it was so they could be leaner for Sony to purchase Squeenix. But now, let's see, and Square Enix had a conference call, and they said that they sold off these studios to stop them from cannibalizing their own sales.
So because we all know direct competitors, Final Fantasy and Guardians of the Galaxy, and Final Fantasy and Tomb Raider, right? Famous foes.
Famously.
Absolutely, colliding fan bases.
Yeah, in Guardians of the Galaxy, you lead a party on a journey, and in Final Fantasy, you lead a party on a journey. They're basically the same.
Guardians has a raccoon, and Final Fantasy 14 has cat girls.
Same thing. Yeah.
I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
I think one's got a little more fan art than the other.
Which one?
But not much more.
What rabbit hole have you been down this week?
He's actually been down a raccoon hole this week.
You could take that anyway.
Yeah, no, you want to finish that thought?
That was the intended way that people should take it. Thank you very much.
Oh God, we are so mature.
Thank you very much. My name's been Andrew. Tip your waiters.
Yeah, I think they've in this conference call they also mentioned that they might be selling off some stakes in their companies, but will still retain full ownership. So I don't know. It's. I feel like there's always a different headline about where Square is going in terms of the business side of things.
Because they're fucking weird.
Yeah.
If they didn't have really good game franchises, I feel like they would have already crumbled as a company. That's the one thing that makes sense with them. Because everything that comes out about their business sense and decisions just makes no sense. Hey, let's make this massive engine, and we never used it. And just crazy shit all the time that they're doing. This cannibalizing games makes no sense. There's the Kingdom Hearts Tomb Raider overlap. No one's like, oh man, I guess I'll get Tomb Raider instead of that. It's just also not happening.
Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy literally overlap.
Yeah, if anything, those are cannibalizing each other's sales. But I also am willing to bet that they both help each other's sales, because I feel like the Venn diagram of Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy fans closer to a circle. It's close to a circle.
Yeah.
But I doubt there are a lot of people that are like, man, I want Final Fantasy 15, but that Tomb Raider game, that's my...
Well, yeah, and what's crazy, too, it's not like these games have been coming out at the same time. It's not like what EA did to Titanfall 2 with having the Battlefield come out like the same week.
Or I mean, it's what, like it's typically 5 years between most Final Fantasy like major titles. You got to have something to fill that space in between to keep the lights on. So it's kind of weird. Like, why not? Why would you not want to diversify? Like, are you afraid that you're going to launch Final Fantasy 16 and I don't know, Marvel's
Guardians
Avengers is going to take sales away from it? Like, it's kind of it's a strange mindset. And I mean, maybe they have data they're not sharing, but I just, as someone who looks at data, there's just not. It doesn't make sense. And so maybe they're just deflecting.
So it was a few months ago that we were talking about how Square Enix was saying Guardians of the Galaxy and Tomb Raider were a failure.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're seeing them selling off studios because they think it's cannibalization, whatever. In 3 months, 6 months, I want to hear from you guys. What do you think the state of Square Enix will be? Do you think that they'll have continued to like sold off more? Do you think that they'll have been purchased by then? Like the rumors seem to keep swirling, or do you think some other wild third scenario?
I honestly don't know, because all I know is that in 6 months they're going to release a Final Fantasy game and no one's going to care about anything else except for the fact that Square Enix released them. Like,
Yeah.
like the name Square Enix is so like Final Fantasy is the next phrase, in your mind,
Maybe
whether
that's part of it.
Yeah, whether it's like a Sony published game or a self-published thing, whatever it's going to be, I feel like they're going to be fine as a company. Like, I doubt they're going to shutter or anything like that.
That's like they have such strong franchises that as long as they keep making games in them, they'll be fine. Even with all this dumb shit all the time, like they'll weather it.
Yeah, because I mean, if Final Fantasy somehow fails, they've got Dragon Quest. So
I wouldn't. I don't expect anybody to buy Square Enix to answer your question, Stretch.
Okay, so you think that third option?
No.
I think that they have strong enough IPs that purchase would be astronomical, like well beyond what Microsoft paid for Bethesda.
Really?
Yeah. Probably not more than the Microsoft Blizzard acquisition, though. I mean, that was like
Probably
that was
not, but
no.
if someone were to buy it, it would be a shit ton. It'd definitely be more than Bethesda.
It would be top 3 for sure. It would have to be, like, with how strong Final Fantasy 14 is, and then their long running IPs and the IPs that they've already got like planned out. I think you'd have to pay them a lot.
We're going to see a lot more of this model that they're going with the Final Fantasy VII remake and all the other Final Fantasy VII stuff around it. I would expect them to just diversify one IP more often. Is my guess. So like whatever Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be is going to have a bunch of weird stuff at the same time or like right around it. Probably. I mean, they've already done some of that. I wish Final Fantasy 9 next. That was on the NVIDIA leak. Please.
Well, I mean, nothing has been wrong so far on that NVIDIA leak, so it's coming. When they want to announce it, that's a totally different thing.
Yeah.
And I guess Square Enix has Crisis Core remastered coming out in supposedly 3 to 4 months.
Sometime.
And then Final Fantasy VII Part 2 next year.
Between them, 16, right?
Yeah, 16 comes out.
And 16 is how stupid is that? I'm here talking about the 2 Final Fantasy VII games that are coming out, and I forgot about 16.
Yeah, why are you talking about that old garbage? That was 9 fantasies ago.
And hopefully we'll get some DLC for Chocobo Racing, right?
That's really
kind of keeping up
the more I think about it too, like, let's say, argument's sake that Guardians of the Galaxy, the failure of a sale, Guardians of the Galaxy somehow cannibalized Final Fantasy's like sales, right? Wouldn't you as Square Enix want to be able to control when Guardians of the Galaxy comes out to make sure it doesn't cannibalize your sales? Because now that Embracer owns it, they could be like, oh, you're going to release the new Crisis Core remake on December 7. Not true. We don't know for sure. Then Embracer could be like, cool, well, we're going to release a thing of our own that's really big on December 7, Like...
whatever Final Fantasy 7 part, whatever, some nonsense comes out, and that's when they put the Tomb Raider game out. Is that same week? The next Tomb Raider.
Exactly.
We'll test this theory.
Yeah,
it feels like this is all comes back to Marvel's Avengers, right? Isn't that really the downfall of everything? Was making that a really shitty games as a service game, and that didn't do well, and that just snowballed into so many things.
They've pulled out of putting any money into Tomb Raider as a franchise. They veered away from Guardians very heavily, but they keep doubling down into Marvel's Avengers.
It's like so crazy.
We know that there's a She-Hulk character that's going to be coming soon. I don't know. I still don't know if they've properly announced that, but it was leaked on an Xbox stream. It's just weird that that has very publicly been seen as like a failure of a game. Not a failure of a game, because I'm sure it's still making money, but in terms of the crowd appeal and the presence of mind that they're hoping that people would have, it just doesn't have it. But that's what they're continuing with.
You think they're just trapped to some contract with Marvel? Like, well, I guess we gotta keep making more people.
Mickey Mouse is like, another DLC. Cracks the whip.
No, he cracks the Keyblade.
That's right. What if they make like a Keyblade whip? Key whip.
And the Keyblades coming to the new Saints Row game. Get some good crossover there.
Saints Row is part of the Kingdom Hearts universe, because everything is part of the Kingdom Hearts universe, of course.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just we haven't been to that world yet.
Exactly.
At the point that Shibuya is part of the Kingdom Hearts universe, everything is connected.
That's right.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I think with Square Enix, for all of its faults that we can just list off here, I think regardless, we're all pretty excited for the next Final Fantasy. So it's like that kind of outweighs everything in a weird way. So.
It's got a similar feeling to Nintendo, because Nintendo, way bigger, obviously. Their IPs it's non-comparable in that sense. But Nintendo also makes really fucking weird business decisions sometimes. And it's just so behind on stuff. But the power of their IP is so strong that it doesn't fucking matter.
Yep.
It really doesn't. They constantly do awful stuff. They're very anti-consumer in many ways, and they're very behind on the times with so many things. But it doesn't matter, because Mario's fucking Mario, and shut up, basically. Like, that's it.
I mean, think about like Breath of the Wild 2. We've known about for so long, and it's been delayed like a couple times now, and people really
aren't just so people can bring up Miyamoto's quote. That's all.
Exactly.
That's it.
But they're not angry about it. They're just like, well. Yeah. We know it'll be worth it. So
exactly,
probably one of the best things that Miyamoto has ever done is say that sentence.
Yeah, not create Mario or Zelda or anything. It's that.
No, just that's where his legacy will be.
Yeah, that's what we remembered for.
That'll be like the opening line of his memoir.
After it's delayed several times, hopefully.
It's George R.R. Martin is penning it right now.
Oh, God.
In other news, we got some more information about the upcoming Pokemon game, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I mean, it was amid quite a few other like Pokemon announcements that, if I'm being honest, I did not watch the first half of that presentation.
That
Stretch, do you want to elucidate? Yeah.
That tease of, a character trudging up steps on a mountain, and Red's there, and he turns around with his Pikachu. It's the final boss from Pokemon Silver, and it's new expansion for the Masters mobile game. I was so mad. That is like the hypest moment in Pokemon history. And they did me dirty. They did me dirty with another mobile game.
But you can
would that have been a setup for like Pokemon Sleep? Like, you got to rest to take on the best or something.
I'm still waiting for Pokemon Sleep news. It was announced, and then we've heard nothing. It's been years.
Since.
The two Pokemon games have come out since Pokemon Sleep was announced.
The latter half of that big Poke presentation was focused primarily on Scarlet and Violet, the next mainline games in the series, still coming out for November 18 as confirmed. Pre-orders are up if you are interested, but I don't know. We got a lot of because there've been a lot of leaks. We have an article at techraptor.net if you would like to
So
check out
many
the leaks. But a lot of them, I believe, were kind of confirmed in this presentation. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely had like 5 or 6 of them confirmed. We know that the legendary dragons are motorcycles. Well, one of them is the Flintstones equivalent of a motorcycle.
Pisses me off
where
so
a
much.
goofy sound effect plays and the creature just runs alongside.
It looks
like
so
imagine-
stupid.
Imagine a big dog with wheels on the front and back of its belly, but it still runs on its legs.
Yeah.
It's ATV.
The wheels do not move at all. They're just a part of its body, I guess.
So that was confirmed. We saw
Well, the
a brand
legendaries-
new.
They are literally ATVs, though, right? Like
It's true.
Yeah.
literally all terrain.
You wanted your HM slave to be more powerful? Here you go. It's a legendary dragon that you will
Return.
run, fly, jump, glide, swim. It's
This would be the
ridiculous.
equivalent of putting Zigzagoon on the front of Ruby and Sapphire. Right?
Yep. That's that. That's definitely that.
Yep.
But no, so we got that. We got a couple brand new Pokemon. Titan, a big ice narwhal whale thing, and Fido, which is
Fido.
probably one of the best pun Pokemon names we've had in a long time.
And he breathes
bunch.
yeast.
Yeah.
That's so gross.
I think it was, let me check this up. There was an article. That's it. The Gamer actually did a very funny article breaking down, like, yes, there's the magical hand waving of why like the yeast breath is okay. But the Gamer did a really funny breakdown on like what having active yeast as your breath would actually do, and the kinds of like ways that it would like corrupt fresh groceries and would screw up your immune system and all of this other stuff. Very funny read. So we had
It's okay.
Fido.
If I had
Fido's
a
just
Fido,
a plague.
yeah, I'd probably just eat its ears, honestly. So
Like Homer Simpson when he turns into a donut. And then we also learned that like there's going to be the main gym challenge, which is like the regular thing, and you'll have like a rival in that. But then there's 2 other quests that will be going on, and not much has been revealed about those. So that's kind of neat. That's a new take. They show off more of the multiplayer.
That's where Pokemon Sleep's going to come in. The quest for rest.
Yes.
I'm just going to think of how many sayings I can think of for Pokemon Sleep.
because they said it's like you don't have to do it in order, right? You can hit up any gym.
Yeah, you can hit up any gym and there isn't any level scaling. So that's probably going to honestly make it a really poor experience. Because you could like rush to the final gym, probably luckily catch something really high level, and then potentially just like work your way backwards through the gym challenge.
Yeah. Although, wouldn't the high level Pokemon not listen to you? That's how it still works, right?
Yeah, that's still how it works. But even if like a level 50 Pokemon only pays attention to you 1 in every 5 attacks, if you're facing a gym that's like level 20, chances are you're still going to be okay.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And yeah, they showed off more of the open world, which I'm super excited for. I'm really hoping that is actually as open world as it could be, and not like everyone has to be within 50 square feet. But we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. I think there's that one crystal mode, right? Like Terrastall.
Yeah,
Terrastall.
Terrastall that lets you either give your Pokemon additional stab advantage. So for the competitive Pokemon players, like, you, Rut, definitely. Stab is if a water Pokemon uses a water attack, then that attack deals 1.5 times damage, or like roughly that. But then if you use this crystal and your water Pokemon has a Terraform water, then that stab is now 2 times. So it allows you to be more effective with the types that you have, but then certain Pokemon will also have the ability to change their typing. So you can have a base Eevee that turns into a fire type, And it seems to be that any Pokemon can realistically turn into any type. And there's also a specific like special Terra style move that will adapt. So even if you somehow turn a fire Pokemon into a water Pokemon, if it has this Terra style move, that move will be a water move and it will get that bonus.
Interesting. Yeah, because I noticed too that like the battle mechanics or the battle scene looks like Arceus, but I don't think they're implementing the speed and power. Is that what it was called? Right?
Swift and strong, I think it was.
Yeah, they're not implementing that, so it still seems like we're going back to more classic Pokemon style with the Terra style kind of adding a bit.
Part of the rumors is also they're getting rid of the overworld catching.
Lame.
Which I think is extremely lame.
Yes.
That was so much fun to be able to stalk up and hit Pokemon.
Like that easily made Arceus at least like refreshing in a way, but
yeah, it was unique.
It's still sounding more and more that like Scarlet and Violet is a lot of known quantities with a dog you can eat. That's
yeah. Hey, I mean, you can eat any Pokemon if you try hard enough. Slowpoke tail, yum yum.
Yep. I mean, isn't it a delicacy in the Poke world?
It is meant to be a delicacy. Also, if you supposedly, if you cook Farfetch'd with the leek that you got it with, it's meant to make it even tastier.
Well, with that haunting news,
this got dark.
Yeah. I want to shift things over and talk about the state of cloud gaming, because we got a few headlines over the past week that are very cloud relevant. You know, we have Xbox. They revealed that cloud gaming usage on the Xbox cloud has increased by 1,800% in the last year. Logitech and Tencent, they are partnering up to release a cloud gaming handheld this year. We don't really know many details beyond that, but they're working on it. And Stadia.
I see Microsoft went up 1,600%
now.
Stadia didn't change.
Yeah, well, Stadia, well, you know, in New York City, in the New York City Google store, they removed the Google Stadia demo room. So not great for Stadia, but the other two cloud stories are kind of like showing a cloud-based future that, or at least cloud gaming is going to become a bigger part of gaming in the future. Maybe Stadia won't play as big of a role in that, perhaps. But I wanted to get you all's take. Like, do you think cloud gaming is something you might invest in more in the future, or are you kind of cool with where you are now with your consoles and rut with your PC master race energy?
I mean, I think longer term, it will grow. Like it's one of those things that, especially with them coming out with a potential handheld that might be platform agnostic, that could be huge in terms of, you know, you buy a quote unquote console, but you can use Xbox Cloud, you could use, you know, Stadia, Steam Remote Play, whatever.
Amazon Luna.
Luna.
Yeah, that's true. We poke fun at Stadia because it's trying its best. Yeah. Amazon Luna's sitting over in the corner eating glue.
Nobody remembers it exists.
Yeah. Every now and then when I like look at Amazon and they have like an ad in the app for Luna, I'm like, the fuck is that again?
Is that a sleep thing?
Luna's looking lovingly at photos of On Live though, so
yeah,
it's okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm already Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, so I'm already as invested into the cloud space as I want to be at the moment.
Right.
I've got a Razer Kishi for my phone, and then sometimes, you know, if my wife's using the TV and I want to play something, I'll stream either my Xbox to my phone, or if I'm out and bored, I'll stream to it very minimally. Normally it'll just be like checking up on things, or if I have like a strategy game I'm playing. I definitely don't want to go into that with like Devil May Cry or something.
Or like a fighting game.
Yeah. So like I'm looking forward to it. I think there's definitely work that needs to be done. I think if this is like I have a Pixel 3 XL, so it's a 4-year-old device at this point, or 5-year-old device at this point. So it doesn't have like the best radio in it or whatever. I think if there is a device that is dedicated to like, we are going to, you know, get as much streaming data, like as high a bit rate churning through this machine as your home router will allow. I'd be really interested to check out this device. That might really push me like even further to it, like even through home streaming and having like my Steam desktop upstairs stream down while I don't have a Steam Deck.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the biggest challenge is infrastructure too. Like, you know, we can build solid platforms like Xbox has. You know, you've got Stadia, you've got other ways to stream, but I think that the biggest limiting factor is going to be internet. Knowing that there are areas that still can't get, you know, above a certain speed or even quality infrastructure. Like definitely there's areas that, you know, sure you can get solid internet, but goes up and down on a regular basis because the infrastructure is just not good. I think that'll be the biggest challenge. I mean, it's gradually being addressed like over time, but you know, it's definitely an uphill battle in some areas for it to work for people, especially as more companies release data caps too. So once you start thinking about data caps, that can be a huge limiting factor as well.
Yeah, because I think too, like a lot of places that would have the internet for cloud gaming, like most cities in America, right? That's also like usually a concentration where there's a lot of people who would probably have a PlayStation or Xbox in their home anyway. So cloud gaming just quite isn't as needed for them. And another challenge I think of too when it comes to cloud gaming is it's gonna get into the streaming wars that we're seeing in TV and movies, right? Like if you want to watch that thing, oh, but it's on Hulu. You want to watch the other thing, oh, but that's on HBO Max or whatever that thing is going to be, right? Like it's always going to kind of be diluted and separated in ways.
I think the big players though have already kind of taken that into account and have started to make moves the same way that if you have Xbox Game Pass, then you also get access to all of the EA Origin Pass, whatever they call that.
Yeah, and like Stadia is really into Ubisoft, right?
Well, it's actually PlayStation. PlayStation and Ubisoft are together as well. To have like all of their like Ubisoft originals, whatever. It's just a whole bunch of Assassin's Creed, really. So like all of those are
value.
Yeah, like all of those are bundled in and part of it, and you don't need to worry about the idea of, oh well, I'm going to get the basic package and then I'm going to get the Ubisoft package on top of that, and then I'm going to get the EA package and I'm going to get the 4K package to upgrade that, and then I'm going to get, you know, a landline as well.
And which one of those has The Sopranos in it?
I don't know. It's not HBO Max.
Yeah,
because they're done with everything this week. That's it.
No
HBO
more
is canceled.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're like cloud gaming is to me on the same wavelength as like VR, where like VR is like on the cusp of being the next big thing, but not quite. I feel like cloud gaming is in that same space, you know?
Definitely. No, that's a fantastic analogy.
I mean, it's all about the adoption. I think like for most people, you've got a PC or you've got a console. There's no, like, you can't take, unless it's Xbox, and this is where I think Xbox has the advantage at the moment, is you can't go play on your Xbox and then walk out the door and play on your phone too. Like, if I'm playing something on Steam, my only access to my Steam is some sort of device that ties in. And I think that would be a huge win if one of the platforms was able to say, yeah, you can stream your Steam library through our platform. Find some way to make that happen, because I mean, Steam Remote Play is very good, but again, it depends on your internet. It depends on your infrastructure at home too, how well connected your computer is, how good your latency is, all that kind of stuff. You kind of throw that out the door when you go to Stadia or Xbox's stuff, because it's their stable, well-built cloud. So, but you've got people with massive Steam libraries that aren't going to rebuy a game on a different platform. So if you can find if one of these services can find a way to say like, yeah, you can stream all of this stuff, like, I think you'll see it adopted pretty quickly. But there's also that challenge that comes with merging stores or not even merging stores, but linking stores at times.
Yeah. Well, because I think Logitech's device is going to allegedly support multiple cloud services, which could be a step in the right direction, but we don't know which cloud services or if it'll even support like Steam Remote Play or let alone like PlayStation Remote Play, right? Like Xbox Remote Play. I mean, they're not called that exactly, but you know, those same versions, right? Streaming the console straight to the device.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a neat idea and like a really smart thing for Logitech and Tencent to be getting in on. It's like, you know, this kind of looks like if they pull this off and if this goes well, you know, this might have that same kind of like feeling as like a tablet. Like no one needed a tablet, but Apple manufactured the demand for tablets, and now everyone and their mother has an iPad kind of thing.
Yeah.
Having just like a, you know, relatively cheap device, you know, we're not going to sell you the subscription with it or anything, and just be like, here you go. This will like get you in. I think that could be a corner of the market that we just don't even think about.
Yeah. Because I mean, what they're basically making, I'm guessing, is essentially a phone that doesn't have a SIM card, right? Which
it
could
might have
have
a SIM card.
If
you want it to be a remote thing, like how the PS Vita had the SIM card version, like what if you want to be like out and about and you have a 4G SIM card in your little Logitech cloud device and you can play Halo wherever you want to be.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Because I feel like there's probably a market out there of people who like the idea of playing games on their phone, but then don't want their phone to be the phone gaming device. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they want to keep it open to get like notifications and stuff as well.
That's a lot of the times if I'm sitting at home on the couch, you know, I'll pull my tablet up and play through that because I don't want to be getting notifications, or I don't want to play for like, you know, an hour, 2 hours, end up with my phone at half battery and then have to go and do something. It's like, oh, well, what if this? What if that?
Yeah, exactly.
But having it as its own thing that's so smart.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Yeah, I guess we'll have to see where cloud gaming goes from here. But for now, let's talk about some games we've been playing, like Tower of Fantasy. Stretch, you want to tell us about that game?
Yeah, so I've been playing Tower of Fantasy. It is a new Genshin Impact-like. I mean, at this point, it has to be its own genre. We've been seeing so many types of those games coming out. Free-to-play, open world, you know, anime-inspired, looks very much like a more saturated Breath of the Wild. And just a really fun game. I've put about 10 to 15 hours into it so far. You know, to my own chagrin, I've been playing on a test server, but I'm pretty sure all of my progress is going to get wiped as soon as the game releases on the 9th. On the 10th, sorry. 10th, yeah. It releases late at night on the 10th. But it's a really fun game. It's got a cool story of like a post-apocalyptic world, but it's not like the post-apocalypse where everything is still like dead and barren. It's the post-apocalypse of like a calamity has occurred and everything has been rebuilt, and you know, they're kind of getting back into society. But there's a big high fantasy story. Well, it's more like tech fantasy story of different factions and these like large towers that help generate energy and power the world have been taken over. So you kind of move from region to region, finishing quest lines, meeting people, just getting fully involved. And then, yeah, it's just such a Genshin Impact, like, you know, every 5 steps you take, there's some new little thing to do that will give you a material that will allow you to do a gacha pull that will get you new weapons or a new character, and you get that character's weapon, and it's going to be an absolute time drain.
Yeah, because I was going to ask how the gacha system works. Do you feel like it's predatory so far, or are you like? Because I remember Genshin for a while, you could like not even pay anything and you're fine.
Yeah, you can still just not pay anything. Kind of a really neat thing is that they've got two different types of pulls, or two pulls that I've seen so far: special request, and then like there's a more special request. The more special request has the higher tier premium currency that you will still get through quests and stuff, and that system has like a pity to it. So every 10 you put in, you'll get a SR or an SSR like rarity, which is like a guaranteed like character. And then if you just go around the open world and you see like a thing that looks like an enemy, and then you pick up a blue like water blob, throw it inside, you'll get a purple orb thing. Oh, you see 3 dandelions, you go break it. In the middle of one of the dandelion puffs is another purple orb. You get 10 of those purple orbs, or even one of those purple orbs, and you can pull. That free pull doesn't have the pity system. So there's no point that you will ever get like a guaranteed. But I'm, obviously I haven't put any money into it because the payment systems aren't live.
Right.
But in playing up to like level 20, which is, probably like 6-7 hours of gameplay, I managed to pull 5 different weapons. And at least 2 of those were from the free system that has no guarantee. And then also, like, of the area that I've most explored, I've probably only collected about 20-25% of what I can explore in that area. So for the people who want to go like hard in ham to it, you're going to be able to pull a lot. The problem is really going to be you have all of these materials and you're going to want to pull a whole bunch now when you really should just be like saving it up and like doing 1 or 2 pulls on each banner. But that comes into the, who are you as a person, and how much are you into like feeding another coin into that slot machine?
Do you feel like it'd be bad for addictive personalities?
Oh yeah, just like any gacha game, like regular gambling. If you have that addictive personality, I could definitely see this game causing some trouble. But they also do, at least for the early game, they do a really good job of feeding you like as much as many resources as you could really want. Right.
Yeah, because it does sound a lot like with Genshin. I remember in my time with it was free to play, and so like the payment system lurks in the corner somewhere. But I never felt the need to like, I want to buy some, what was it, Prima Gems or whatever in Genshin?
Yeah.
Like I never felt the need to buy that. And do you feel that way so far here? Like, I know the payment system's off, but like,
so far it would be like I would play for a little bit under an hour and I would look and be like, oh shit, I can do like 15-20 more pulls.
Nice. Okay.
So they feed them really heavy in the early game. I'm sure that will crash like crazy, but by the time it begins crashing, you might already have 100 hours in the game. So, at that point, there's also the flip side of like the gacha games and the payment and the microtransactions and premium currencies and stuff is, for me personally, because I do have funds that I can spend on games, that if I'm at the point where I've put 60 hours into a game, I'll probably buy some microtransactions anyway, just to support the dev.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If I'm buying a game on my Xbox for $60 and I'm only putting in 10 hours, but a game like Genshin I've probably put 200 hours into, then right. I'll toss a coin
to your Witcher.
Exactly.
Yeah, how do you feel about the characters? Do you feel like there's a lot of waifu and husbando bait in this? Much like
100%. It's 100%. It's choice.
I thought that's what you were referring to when you were talking about polling earlier. Well, the players do pulling a lot.
Touche.
That's what I thought you were getting at.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that the pulls that you get, the extra characters that you get, are just the weapons, but the weapons come with like a synthetic memories version of what I assume to have been a real person originally. So you can like, it's not like it's not like Genshin where you have like a party of 4 characters that you're swapping between. So you've got one character who has options for 3 weapons. You know, I would normally have a ranged and 2 melee, but then you can like transmog your character to be the character who owned the weapon. And that comes
like
with
it.
Yeah. And like, but you get like a different voice. There's different quips, everything. It's like almost like a digital ghost has possessed your main character. Which is a little bit weird, but it's fun. It's like, I don't think that the transmog really shifts much other than like there's no additional abilities or some bonus for using the weapon with the transmog as far as I could tell. But it's just, you know, something nice, a bit of change.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it does sound kind of interesting. Sounds like something you could like really sink a lot of time into. And it's on, what's it on, PC and mobile? Is that what we're looking
PC
at?
and mobile only.
I'm guessing they'll expand.
Yeah, because at the moment, Genshin's only on PlayStation as well. There's been murmurs of a Switch port for forever for Genshin. But yeah, I think that this will be a pretty good game. This will be like a public game. People will get really into it. There'll be a lot going on.
Yeah, and probably a lot of like updates down the line.
Oh
yeah.
Even the way that the developers have even been rolling it out to us as we've been trying it is that like every 24 hours they add like 6 more levels as far as we can go. So even this like last week of being able to try it out, and admittedly I've gotten lost in Digimon for a lot of that time, but it's been fun like watching the slow progression and the slow build up.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, and that comes out on the 10th, which is like just a few days after this podcast goes live. So if you're interested in checking it out, that's Tower of Fantasy.
Day after. Right?
Is that right?
No, 2 days after.
Yeah, 2 days after.
I'm
Wednesday.
wrong. I can't count. That's fine.
Yeah, it's all right. So I've been counting a lot of the hours I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3. This is a fucking long game. I am 25 hours in and still getting tutorials.
Jesus.
Par for course.
Final Fantasy 13.
So here's the thing. It is Final Fantasy 13. And I'm 100% convinced it is actually Final Fantasy 13 because the combat is auto attacking, right? You can fuse your 2 characters together to create a summon, basically a summon, which is kind of similar to what you could do in Final Fantasy. There wasn't fusion, but you summon a character, right?
Are you talking about 12?
13.
Okay.
Eidolons, like you summon Eidolons, and they look kind of like mechanized and all that. In the same way in Xenoblade, they look mechanized AF. Yeah, it's an interesting game. Xenoblade is.
So, and you've played the other Xenoblades?
I have, and I hated both, so I don't know why I'm doing this.
Okay, because I was going to say, it's like from your description of comparing it to Final Fantasy 13, it's like I can't tell if he likes it or not. Was he a fan of the previous? No. Okay.
I mean,
that's like me picking up Elden Ring.
Like I enjoyed 13 for what it was, but I wouldn't be like, yeah, dude, this is like the best Final Fantasy game ever, you know? Like, no. But so Xenoblade is one of those series where like everything about it from the outset, I'm like, oh, that checks a lot of boxes for me. Like, it's an interesting world, you know, cool designs, long JRPG you can just sink into. So every time a new one comes out or they like re-release one, I'm like, maybe this is the one. It's like the Monster Hunter for me. It's like it wasn't until Rise where I was like, okay, this is it. This is my 70-hour game.
I get it now.
Yeah, and I think Xenoblade 3 is almost there for me, because it's still similar combat, right? Like you walk up to things and your character immediately starts whacking it, and then you have like a couple arts you can use and all that. It's very MMO-ish, right? Like extremely. Like you have to deal with aggro. Your healer has to keep healing your tank, or else you'll go down. But your DPS needs to position properly, and there's a lot of like field of effect things, so like positioning gets even more convoluted. Like everything about it reminds me of my time playing like Final Fantasy 14, right?
Critically acclaimed
Final Fantasy 14. Get it in stores now. So, and with the MMO gameplay, that's something I've never like really liked. It's always been kind of something you deal with. That's how I see it. But I know for a lot of folks out there, that's like peak gameplay, right? And I'm slowly
Or bastards.
I'm slowly getting into this one more, but I'm definitely feeling feature creep because, you know, first there's just arts, right? So you're just auto attacking and you can throw in an art, and your art is like you can inflict a status effect or you do big damage if you position yourself right, those sort of things. Mm-hmm. And then they introduced your overdrive art, which is like your ultimate. So it's like, okay, that's an easy concept. I get it. Mm-hmm. And then they introduced this system that I kind of hate where all 6 of your party members are like, from a story perspective, are linked together like neurally, essentially. So everyone can use everyone's class. Your tank can be DPS. Your DPS can be a healer. You can have 6 DPS if you want, or you can have 6 tanks, etc.
Class cannon, baby.
Yeah,
Sweet.
like all the classes don't matter. So I kind of don't care about anything because like there's no permanence to anything. Like I don't feel an attachment of like, that's my tank. He's my tank guy, you know? Because like I can think that, and then 10 minutes later it's like, oh wait, no, I swapped him to be a medic. So, you know, you always have to like think twice about your entire party because no one is the same, right?
Do you like mentally lock in like, oh, this character is this character, and so I'm just gonna like kind of keep that character in that sphere, or have you just like literally been shifting?
Just keep it up.
Well, so here's the thing: you kind of have to shift things because after a while, like because there's class ranks because there's systems on systems
sounds like
on systems.
13.
Yes, exactly. It is 13 again, right? Because everyone can be every class, right?
Yeah,
so
I hated
there's
that so fucking much.
Yeah. So there's class ranks here. So once you hit the maximum, every time you open your status screen, the game just pauses and is like, hey, looks like your character's class is at max rank. You should switch, dumbass. So like, because once you max out a class rank, you get master arts, which you can use while you're using other classes. And then you can use both together to do fusion arts. And then after that, you can interlink. And there's just a lot of shit going on, right? Like there's tired. Yeah. Like I'm tired. I remember watching the Nintendo Direct for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and it was like 20 straight minutes of explaining the gameplay. And I'm like, now I get why. Because like I'm trying to explain this game to people, and it's just impossible for like how much like, it is.
It sounds like that kind of like playground one-upmanship. Like, well, I'm going to do my art. Well, I'm going to do my master art. Well, I'm going to do my fusion arts of my master arts. Oh, well, I'm now a tank, so I'm going to use my tank art to do this, and then like it's that like school ground one-upmanship kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Like, let me see if I can explain this. There's 2 factions, right? That Agnes and the Kavesi, I think, something like Agnian and Kavesi, always been at war, etc. Right? So one of them, all of their arts are cooldown based, but the other one, all of their arts are like you build it up with auto attacks. Like every auto attack gives you more charge until you can use it.
Okay.
So when you choose your main class, you can tap into the master arts from the other faction. So you're always going to have cooldown and auto attack arts. One of them will be your main arts, one of them will be your master arts. And then when both are active at the same time, you can use both at the same time to do a fusion art. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's just a lot, right, to get through. That's kind of what this whole game is. It's a lot of systems, and I haven't even talked about chain arts. Yeah, there's just a lot.
It's just like, yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah.
I think if it wasn't auto battle, but if it was an ARPG, I think that that's going to be when they do that, when they make the action RPG Xenoblade game, that's going to be the day that I try it.
Yep.
If it means anything, after 25 hours in, once you get to that point where you can understand those words I just said, like really intrinsically, it gets to a point where it feels action RPG-ish because you're always doing an art of some kind, you know?
That reminds me of Tales of Arise in that way.
Kind of, but Tales of Arise is a lot more active. I feel like I like Arise more.
when we're saying if we're gonna, if Xenoblade went a more active route, I feel like it would be similar to that.
Yeah,
it'd be pretty close.
Yeah, and I'd probably play the shit out of that more. And one other thing that I found very exhausting that might exhaust you guys too. So everyone can be everyone else's class, right? So that's 6 classes. And then after you meet a certain character,
you better not say anything about subclasses.
You find out that there are 23 minus 6 more classes out there. There are 17 more classes to find.
Awesome.
And everyone can be all 23 of them.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Why 23? The Michael Jordan fans, or what's the...
No, I think it's just
you just ran out of ideas.
And who knows, there's more room in the UI, so it could, for fucking all I know, be 28, 30, 50. Let's go 100 classes. Let's go. Nothing matters anymore.
This makes me happy to know that this is what JRPGs have become, because it kind of felt like we were headed this way anyway.
Yeah.
And now you don't feel bad about not playing them?
Well, that's just, there's so many, they always had a bunch of crazy systems, like way back. Mm-hmm. And this feels inevitable that it's just going to keep compounding to it's crazy.
The Sword Art Online games do that as well. Like they get really deep into the systems and the auto battling and stuff. And it's just I have so much respect for you getting 25 hours into this game. Because that is not a level of patience that I would personally have. And I hope that you're, if not having fun, I hope that you're at least not having a bad time while playing this game.
I mean, wouldn't say I'm having a bad time. I wouldn't say it's like the funnest time either, but it's a very zen kind of experience.
That's why it's in the name.
Yep. XEN. Blade Chronicles. But it is pretty zen in that you can just zone out. So every region is fucking huge, and it's one of those games where the map is under a fog of war until you get near it. There's a cone of vision around you that reveals the map. So it's a lot like you're painting the map, which is kind of zen in a way. I like to do that, just kind of zone out and just expand so you can see everything, which can literally take 4 hours to cross an entire map in this game. One of many, I assume. So there's that. There's if you're in the middle of a battle and you kind of don't want to think about it, you just hit select and it auto battles for you. I mean, it does the arts for you too. So you could just watch the game and not think about it.
Hey man, why not? Right?
Yeah.
So are you gonna complete it? Are you going to spend 100 more hours to complete it?
Yeah, that's the tough. I don't know if I'm going to spend 100 more hours in this game, but maybe.
There's more arts to find.
There's more classes to find.
More types of arts, even.
Yeah, probably.
Might I interest you in some Digimon or some Tower of Fantasy?
Don't fall for it. Tower of Fantasy is just a different kind of bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, aren't all JRPGs a different kind of bullshit?
Yes.
It's always some weird system, right?
Yes. That's the appeal of JRPGs. They're bullshit.
I like how Stretch is looking up into the air thinking of his 800 million JRPGs he's played.
Just trying to think which is
going one by
bullshit.
one.
The least bullshit?
Which is the least? Honestly, probably Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
That's why it's got the most appeal.
Yeah. I feel like Final Fantasy 15 might be the least bullshit because you hold one button to attack and one button to not be hit.
Yeah.
It's pretty straightforward.
You make a lot of food.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you make a lot of food in Xenoblade too. I feel like food is just a big thing in JRPGs again. The meal that gives you bonuses, because that was a thing in Tales as well. So, yeah.
I do like food.
Same. But yeah, I don't know.
That's why it makes JRPGs so relatable.
Pop-Tart, yeah. Classic JRPG.
Well, it's homemade. So she came home the other day. She was like, I'm going to pick up our box of peaches. She got a second box, so we have 50 pounds of peaches.
So you have 20 pounds of cobbler.
Yeah, pretty much.
So this is just Rut flexing that his wife is as good as Ninja's wife, right?
No.
Yeah, that blue hair looks good on you, Rhett. I think it's a good look.
Going to your barber and showing Sonic the Hedgehog was unique.
Do I need to go ask if I'm allowed to stream with other women?
I think so, yeah.
Like,
I heard that the blue hair is the key to his success. That was when it all
I thought it was the headband.
worked. No, he's got this masterclass that you can go take to learn how to become a successful streamer.
I keep seeing that video trying to get fed to me on YouTube.
It really seems the blue hair was it. That was what tied it all together. It's like the Big Lebowski, you know. It's like the rug. The blue hair was the rug.
Yeah.
Tied
So
it
I
all
guess
together.
before our video goes live, which this podcast will be in video form eventually, soon, within a few weeks, maybe, and you'll see us all with blue hair.
Don't say the quiet part out loud.
We'll all have blue hair by then. That's the goal, right?
That's right.
Otten, could you get away with that at work? My work wouldn't care.
I don't think they'd care.
I would care more than my work would. That's honestly where it's going to come down to.
Yeah. But I think that does it for this week's episode of the TechRaptor Podcast. We hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please feel free to leave us a review on whatever platform you are listening on, and share it with a friend if you haven't already. And you can also hit the subscribe button if you want new episodes of our show every week. And if you want more of us, you can check out TechRaptor.net, where we publish news, features, reviews, etc. every day throughout the week. But if you want more of this pod, we will be back next Monday. See you then.